Your camera. Oh, okay. I mean, I can move some more. Can you?
That would be good too, because I still see you.
All right, wait a minute.
Okay, that was my knee.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about now, Diana?
Okay, that's good. Just see the light.
It's an Android, and he's about the same age as me. And we started off, and I said,
Okay. We're all set. Okay. We're live now.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it time to start?
Yes, it is. It's 10:03.
Guys.
Where are you?
he's hiding.
You're saying good morning from where? Or is you just testing the mic?
That's a good question. Yes, I am. Go to Facebook, Robert K. Dean.
Did you figure out how to do it on VB Liberty yet?
I haven't even had time, man. I've been going.
You just don't want to.
No, I'm going to. I need to. I need to. Really do. Hey, Lisa. Oh, is this my coffee back here?
Yes, that's your coffee.
Oh, I was going to take it.
See?
Oh, it's cold. So.
You can ask him to heat it up. Robert? Time to start?
Yep. Oh, we're past due. I'm live.
You know when you're on share. You're not on shareable. Shareable.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, Robert, what are you doing?
It should be shareable. Let me see.
Good morning, everyone. I think it's time to start our meeting. I'm Bill Duke. Happy to introduce our distinguished guests today. Gary McCollum and John Moss are going to be talking to us about the post-game analysis of the wonderful election we just had here in Virginia Beach and Virginia as a Commonwealth. Wonderful. Anyway, some of you are disappointed by the results.
No.
How many of you are very happy with the results?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Oh, we got two very happy people. That's great.
I'm very happy.
I don't know what the results are.
Well, we're going to find out about the results. But without lingering, I'd like to have our invocation and pledge of allegiance in this final.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Snyder. I'm glad to be here.
Good morning,
Talk about this wonderful election. Let's pray. Thank you, Father, for this morning that we've all come together to discuss things that are going on in our country that you're already aware of. And Father, I thank you that we're all together, and I ask you to be with each and every one of us, that we love one another and we bring unity to whatever it is that we put our hands to. And Lord, bless each one as we leave today. And I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Very nice.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tell Martha it should be sharing now.
So, if you would be so kind, Gary McCullough and McCollum, and John Moss, could you please come and take your seats up here?
They named him after a chainsaw.
I'll sit on the left.
Oh, really? I can't imagine.
That's right. You're both on the right.
That's a nonpartisan.
Oh, so you got you've got water and you've got coffee, so I'll take this away. Unless you want.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Good thing.
He'll drink it for you.
So So we'll get started. I think we're going to start with Mr. Moss, who wants to, is a former Virginia Beach City Councilman and a longtime guest of ours here. And he's going to fill us in on his reaction to the most recent election. Is that right?
Both of them are on. Just push it all the way forward.
It's on.
Well, I think anytime that people have an opportunity to speak, and they do speak, that's a good thing. And the real question is, certainly I was in favor of yes, but if no had prevailed, I would be equally accepting of the no as I am glad about the yes. Because in the end, it's not about what we think individually, but at the end, it's the collective judgment of the people that we celebrate. So I'm happy about yes. I'm happy about the opportunity that yes presents. But yes is no guarantee. Yes just means that we diluted the power and influence of money, didn't eliminate it, and we also count on the fact that there will be people in those districts that are willing, civic-minded, and aren't career politicians, so to speak, that will go out and run. And then we as voters, to make the 10-1 fully successful, have to what? Participate both with sweat equity and a little bit of money. But we have many examples of the under 10-1, and I always use this one often. I'll use two. But District 10 race, you all may recall, that's our most compact of all our districts. But Jennifer Rouse ran in that race. She spent a little under $30,000. They spent north of $150, and she won by over 10%. So that just shows you that, in fact, that 10-1 does offer the potential for people of modest campaign means, but a big civic heart and a lot of shoe leather can prevail, and then the public will judge them on their record. So it's easy to have higher turnover in district races. So if they don't do what they said they were going to do, people can hire a new employee. And the other race that shows it doesn't always prevail, but shows you the power of the district system is District 3 race. That was Michael Belushi was in that race. He's a two-term incumbent under the legacy system. He ran a good race, but he won with 50.24% of the vote, spent a considerable sum of money. He ran against a more, I think, less than 12,000, if my memory serves me correctly. So that just shows you that the margin that he had received in the all-at-large system was about 58% of the vote, because people who give you money under that system can also vote. Where in the district system, people can give you money, which is they're free to do, and I encourage it, but they can't vote. Their money doesn't vote. Their money just helps them communicate to voters. So that's the power of 10-1. It empowers the voter over money. And I think that's what I'm really happy about. I don't know how the people who ultimately get elected will do when they get in there. That's another story. There's been some disappointments, I think, on both sides. But nonetheless, it's a system that puts the power in the hands of the people, and that's why I'm very happy about the results.
Well, first off, thanks for the invitation to be here and be next to my good friend John. I was with your wife at the press conference, I guess yesterday or the day before. She did a marvelous job, by the way. I was saying I was glad she was there, not you, John. But she did a wonderful job. But just to build on what John is saying, I think the people simply spoke. I think the people, let's go back to the UVA survey. The UVA survey, which a lot of people kind of poo-pooed and said, oh, it's just a survey. Well, I was one of those nerdy guys wearing glasses in the front of the room. I took statistics. The survey was statistically accurate, and it said that 80% of the folks in Virginia Beach wanted a 10-1 system. But a lot of people said, oh, no, we need to go for a referendum. I'm like, you're going to waste a lot of taxpayer money doing that, but if that's what you want to do, okay. And that's what they did. And frankly, I'm going to use a sports analogy, and I hate to say this, but it was a home game for the opposition. Y'all know what a home game is, right?
Yeah.
It was a home game for them. They had the money. They had the politicians behind them. They had everything. Signs all over the place. I mean, I would wake up, at night and see one of those vote no signs because they were everywhere. But what they did not understand is that this wasn't about money. This was about people people, and that's where the power is. That's what they didn't understand. And there were a lot of strategic decisions that they made in the campaign that were just frankly not smart. But at the end of the day, I think people wanted to have a system that was fair, that was accountable, that tried to take some of the money out of our politics. I mean, clearly even in a 10-1, you're not going to take all of it out. But a 10-1 system did that. And just to be perfectly clear, because some of you may not know this, there were actually two coalitions, two political action committees that were formed to vote yes. There was a Yes Virginia Beach with Senator Aaron Rouse, but then there was another organization, which I was a part of, called Vote Yes on 10-1. And that was very strategic. We did that because we wanted to make sure that there was a true grassroots organization, no politicians. This was all teachers, ministers, city workers. I mean, you had everybody, moms. I mean, it was a true grassroots organization. And I think what people saw when they saw on the other side politicians out there advocating for 731, the same politicians who were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to promote this thing, the same politicians who frankly have been wasting taxpayer money. And then you have an organization like ours, which there were no politicians. And it was a pretty easy explanation. I would tell people, first off, we don't need 4 mayors. People can understand that very quickly. We don't need 4 mayors. Anything with multiple heads is a monster.
Amen. Medusa.
So you could like explain this so well that people could understand it. And that's what we did. We had town halls in every single district in the city. And we explained this to people. You don't need 4 mayors. And we also said, look, you should vote no if you're in this category. Let me tell you what that category looks like. If you're an oceanfront developer, you're trying to get your project done with taxpayer money, using it as your piggy bank, then yeah, you should absolutely vote no. But if you're not in that category, then I think your answer is obvious. Vote yes on 10-1. So it was pretty easy to explain, and we would help them through VPAP to see where the money was coming from. And the thing I'm so proud of is that the citizens of Virginia Beach stood up and said they want a system that's fair. This wasn't partisan. Wasn't a Republican Democrat thing at all. This was clearly a nonpartisan issue where the citizens were informed about how can I get a system that works for me, and that's why they voted that way. Again, I think the opposition having even the governor coming in at the end of the day.
That was a sign they were behind.
That was I said to somebody, boy, they must have did another poll, because this is a sign of desperation to do that.
Yeah.
Because this was not really, it was not good at all to do that.
Yeah.
Because the people are questioning whether or not that was in their own best interest.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm proud of the people of the citizens of the BD.
Amen. Yeah. Push it all the way up, John. It's keep going.
Hello.
There you go.
I want to talk a little bit about the press release. I was astounded. Sometimes you say, you be gracious in defeat when you lose, and you're magnanimous when you win. But when I saw that statement, first of all, it was like trying to give that they were on a noble cause, and that they were interested in best educating us, and they were all motivated from the best of intentions.
Did everyone see that press
Did
release?
you see that
I
press?
didn't
Did anyone
see
see
it.
that
Some
thing they
people may
they
not
put?
have seen it.
Oh,
Well, you need to just get some highlights of what.
well, they basically came out and acknowledged that they didn't win in a neutral sense, and then they went on to say why they had a campaign, what their mission and purpose was, and it was to make sure that people fully understood the consequences, and they were this pro-education. I think that's a nice way of saying it. But now that the decision had been made, the closure at the end was, we shouldn't rush into anything.
Oh, yeah.
That we should stand back and wait until all the litigation and the Supreme Court decision and blah, 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 blah. It was, but more importantly is, it just wasn't factually true at the end, and I really wanted to talk about why that is. We had two things. We were only voting on one thing on the advisory referendum, which was what should be the structure of our city council, which is the 10-1 piece, and then how it should be elected, which is you can only vote for the person that's in the district in which you live. So that's the election system. So it's a two parts, like super glue, right? You got two parts to make the glue. So, but the charter amendment only deals with the structure and the manner of election. The Supreme Court case, I call it the Louisiana case because it's easy to remember that than the two plaintiffs and defendants' names, deals not with the structure and the manner of election. It only deals with boundaries. Yep. And this boundary is all gets back to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Now, what's interesting here is this, the case was not appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, 4 members, pulled it up and put it on their docket. And this is what the issue is before them. And I don't know how they're going to rule, and anyone who says they does, I think they're smoking. But anyway, is whether or not race-based drawing of districts is constitutional. They're going to look at the fundamental constitutionality of Section 2, and then also they could not decide on that, but they could go back and revise what's called the Jingles test as to what constitutes actually discrimination that the court can actually remedy. So that's the issue. So it doesn't have to do with 10-1. They can amend that charter tomorrow, and I hope they have it on a fast track. And I'm sure
that's what the city council said. Let's get it before the people. Let the people tell us what to do, and then we'll move.
So now the General Assembly hopefully can move that on some kind of fast track. And I'm sure they will. We'll get that done. Because it is true that until the amendment is actually made to the city charter, the city council has no authority to implement a 10-1 system or to even submit the boundaries. Now, this is the part I mentioned in the post. I did a lot of detail. Martha asked the question, and I answered it in a detailed fashion, is our current district boundaries were race-based drawn because that was the direction that the special master got from the judge to create 3 minority-majority districts. So if the Supreme Court actually does make that call, which it could, those boundaries would be null and void. So it makes some sense to make some adjustments. I think the resort district should be 1 district, not 2. It's in 5 and 6. So I think we could do some on the edges movements, working with the community as a whole. That's why I think we need an independent group, not the council should be doing this. And I had a proposal for that. My proposal was, if we can select jurors to put people in prison for life, we can randomly select voters to draw boundaries. Yeah. And with some professional expertise that's not the city staff, but third-party statisticians. And we could get that done quickly because and then we'd be able to say our district boundaries were not race-based because those district boundaries really no longer legally exist. We actually have to at least recertify them. Those are the ones we want, because they were done under a lawsuit that's no longer, that decision was moot, so therefore those boundaries have to be either reaffirmed or redone. I just think we're taking a lot of judicial risk by just going with what we have, just because of how the opposition will be right there taking us to court, and rightfully so, in my opinion. So we gotta be smart about how we do the boundaries, but city council should not be involved in how that is done.
Yeah, I think that's the critical piece of this, because once you involve politicians drawing lines, we're going down a slippery slope. And I'm not going to get into what's happening at the federal level in Texas and what's coming here. But to John's point, I think that there is an opportunity here. But let's get back to what this council said. They said, we want a referendum. And speaking of the fact of who should actually make these kinds of decisions, remember the wording of the referendum, it was not done with any input from anyone in the community. Exactly. The people who financed the No campaign were the ones who, you know, if you look at what was actually on the referendum, how can you say you want to keep a system that has never existed? Because that's what the wording said.
What, I mean, you may remember Judge Jackson and his opinion. You may recall that Judge Jackson, you may recall that when Judge Jackson wrote his, I won't call it opinion, but order or ruling, I don't know the exact lawyer term, I'm not a lawyer, he made note of the fact that the city's attorney, and making this was in that October hearing, acknowledged that the city council was pressured, I think that was the word that he used, by members in the, I think it's a resort community, but anyway, but pressured by groups to put this on the ballot, and that and the wording of the ballot. And later the city attorney tried to disassociate himself from that, but Judge Jackson actually noted that the city admitted why they were having the referendum and the role of the people against 10-1 influencing how it was worded. And it wasn't worded like most of the time when they word stuff, so that yes means yes and no means no. And they made it sound like 731 was already in place. And I think that was a conscious...
Oh, absolutely.
But Judge Jackson called him out, but the people overcame that because fundamentally they saw that this was a case of, do the people speak or does money speak?
Yeah.
And the people spoke. And so now council just needs to, that charter amendment should be able to be passed on Tuesday.
Well, I'm hearing it's going to be on the 25th. But to your point, I mean, again, the way it was worded, because anyone who follows referendums, most no votes pass. Let me say that again. Most, you know this, John, most no votes win.
Statistically.
Statistically. And so that's why it was worded the way it was worded. This was, again, as I said, this was a home game for the opposition.
Because usually most referendums are asking for government to be able to do something.
Do something.
And so people don't want government to do anything.
Yeah. So I you know, again, this issue now of what should city council do?
Yeah.
The people of Virginia Beach have spoken. We need city council to listen. And we need them to then act. And I hope and pray that it'll be unanimous. They'll add this to their legislative agenda. It'll go to Richmond. I think now in Richmond there are two houses and an executive branch that will move quickly on this issue, and let's put this behind us. And regardless of what happens, to John's point, what happens at the Supreme Court, let's move on and put this issue behind us. We should not continue to spend millions of taxpayer dollars here in Virginia Beach on something that the citizens have said multiple times, we want a 10-1 system.
Gentlemen, could we get questions from the audience?
Sure.
All right, and you'll share the microphone.
Sure.
Very good, thank you. Here we go.
Okay,
You have to have the microphone.
okay, thank you.
Just to piggyback on moving forward, I think the citizens are resting. The 731 people are not resting, and they will do whatever they can think of to do and pull in every idea and every politician any way they can to shift things around. So delays, in my experience of advocacy and activism, only empower the person like the 731. So I would say keep the people aware, whatever you do to keep the people aware that it's not a done deal until it is a done deal.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as I mentioned, I'm hearing that there's going to be a vote on the 25th. To John's point, I'm not sure why it can't happen. Obviously, it can't happen this coming Tuesday because of veterans. And my hat's off to all the veterans in the room. Thank you for your service. But at the same time, we should recognize that I believe 76 precincts out of 108 voted in favor of this yes vote on this referendum. You can check me on the count, but I think it's between 75 and 76. Do the math on that. That's a little over 70%, I think. So 70% of the precincts in Virginia Beach said yes. So find your district, find your precinct, call the person who represents you, and to your point, Martha, what are you waiting on? We've spoken, you work for me, let's get this in the legislative package, and let's get this to Richmond. And as John mentioned, Delegate Kelly Fowler has already stated that she is going to be moving this in an expedited fashion to get it done.
Amen.
So we don't have to wait until July 1st to make this charter change.
Well, there are other questions. Well, there's several questions. Do you want to respond
No,
to
I
this?
think you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I'm kind of piggybacking on Martha's question. I think you may have answered it, but just in more detail, what do we do to not always play defense when it comes to issues like this? Because I'm sure they are not finished. What do we do, and what do we expect that's going to be coming down the pipe as a result of this decision by the citizens?
Well, I want to get back to that point about you want to tell them you want the resolution passed, but then you need to tell them that you want an independent group to draw the boundaries, because we can't even, till the General Assembly actually passes the referendum and the governor signs it. After that point, that's when the city can submit an election plan. But they don't have to wait to start drawing that plan. They should, at this other meeting, have this, and I had my own view. There's 12 zip codes in Virginia Beach. General mailing zip codes, not people that have their own zip code because they're so big. You could go and you could say, randomly pick from the voter rolls 20 people in each one of those 12 zip codes, and then pick randomly one of those 20 to serve. One would be the chairman. They would pick themselves, but non-voting. So you'd have 11 people voting. They sit in a room. They get the experts that the cities use with lawsuits, but now they work for the chairman, not for the city. And they sit there and they come up and draw the boundaries. They then would submit them to the senior circuit court judge to make sure they conform to the law. Because I think that's, and then council's only job then is to write the ordinance that implements it, to send it through the Virginia Voting Rights Act process. There is a statutory process that they have to go through, all that's little steps. And so, but if they started now, this gets back, not delaying. You say, hey, my house is on fire, let's get the fire department out. Well, we need to get this thing implemented. We could have it all ready to go so that when it's approved by the governor, the next day they are submitting this to the Attorney General. We can go through that process because we've already had a referendum. We don't need to have another referendum on 10-1. We just need to get the boundaries done. The challenge is going to be the challenge is, what does the General Assembly need to do in the legislation to deal with when the petition process for people qualifying for office, extending the deadlines, these are all the mechanics to support an election in November. So really people have to think of what's the ultimate objective. We'd like to have an election in November based on a 10-1 plan. That just means you have to be focused on what the voters really wanted and make sure you're acting in a way, and I'm sure we have a lot of cooperation in Richmond to help us make that happen, but a lot of things have to move in parallel to be successful in 26 and not do it in 28 as that press statement, delay.
I think there would be some benefit in trying to educate the people who voted yes for 10-1 why the developers were so adamant that they needed to have this 731, and I believe it all points back to the TIP fund and the $55 million every single year that the TIP fund generates from people like you and me in districts that are not at the resort, paying 11% for prepared foods, makes me not want to go out and spend money on prepared foods, not even a prepared chicken or pizza.
Whoa.
And somehow we need to really make sure people understand that they have their fingers through the Resort Advisory Commission, which is a multi-group force down at the ocean front that has multiple people involved in it. We have been sending them millions for years, and if you add the numbers up, it's over $1 billion. It's over $1 billion. It's been documented that we have funneled to the resort, and many people who I know say it looks trashy. I'm going to Moyac, or I'm going to the Outer Banks. So what it is, it's all about money for developers, money for the resort. We're doing $48 million at the resort for streets and Vibe and whatever. Can we get some money up here in District 8 or District 9 or somewhere else? We need to spread the money around, and there truly needs to be 10-1. And my councilman, Stacy Cummings, sent me a hideous mailer that said he needed more votes on council. It's just really appalling the amount of money that they feed off of. They didn't even want to give us a garbage truck. What was it, 5 or 6 years ago? They said, oh no, you can't use the tip money for a garbage truck, heaven forbid. That tip fund should have been dissolved except for Linwood Branch removing the sunset clause. So somehow the money needs to come back into it, because it isn't just the power, it's they want to basically continue to grandize the oceanfront, which I don't know that many people who go down there, So please try to educate people about the tip fund and get rid of the horrendous meal tax in Virginia Beach, our portion.
12%.
Yeah, our portion. We can't remove the state, but the whole thing is just, it's all fraught with money, and our current council buys into it because all the donors give them money.
No, I like that. That's good.
Push all the way up. All the way up. Let me see it. All right, give it to me. I'll put new batteries in it.
I completely agree with you, and I think
Bill.
Both coalitions did a relatively good job of educating people, and I think that's why we over 70% of all of the precincts voted yes. But I think you're right. I think just look at where, if you look at the vote no group, look at where the money came from.
The resort.
Is anybody actually looked where it came from?
The resort.
That's where it came from. It came from the resort area in District 8. That's exactly right. You mentioned Councilman Cummings. He personally gave $10,000 to this effort.
Yeah.
And here's a person who was voted in the 10-1 system, but yet giving personal money to this effort. And so
$10,000.
I think you're right. We need to continue to make sure that people understand that, yes, there are. John made the point. We have a history in Virginia Beach. Let's just be honest with ourselves. We have a history in Virginia Beach where certain communities have been marginalized. That is the truth.
Yes.
Anyone who wants to argue with that, that's another topic. But the main issue, I think, what we have, and that's why, again, our coalition was not Republican, Democrat. We had everybody. Tea Party, but we had everybody. The reason why is because this was about haves and have-nots.
Yes.
This was about people with moneyed interests trying to continue to use taxpayer dollars for their own piggy bank.
Yes.
That's what this was about. And that's why I'm so proud of the citizens of Virginia Beach, because with all of the money that was spent by the other side, they didn't buy that. As a minister, I will say it was a David and Goliath moment.
Well, speak to the wave
Last
park.
time I checked, David won.
Speak
And
to
that's
the
what
wave
happened.
park
That's
and
what
the
happened in Virginia
multi-millions
Beach.
of the wave park that we've.
I want to get back to just, I know the people that 731 grossly overstated and said how the world was going to end and the sun wasn't going to rise. And also the people on the 10-1 side think that we're going to be coming to the promised land of milk and honey. And neither of those are true. we elected people under 10-1, and 2 people elected under 10-1, Councilman Cash Green and Councilwoman Ross Hammond, both were supporting 731.
Right.
Well, she later came back and said no, she was like 10-1, so I don't know which she's
My
supporting.
Yeah.
point on that is that silence is consent.
Yeah, exactly.
So she didn't say anything, but in my world,
Right.
silence
Yes.
is consent.
But more importantly, people I need to remember, when it came to violating the green line, only 2 people said no.
Right.
Barbara Henley and Jennifer Rouse. Before that, Chris Taylor.
Right.
So just having 10-1 doesn't mean things get better.
No.
It means you have the opportunity to do what we did here, that the people's voice overcomes money. Because when you go and look at those 10-1 races, you're going to see, independent of what party they said they belonged to, the people that won for the most part had the same group of say no to 731 investors.
Right.
So you got to really, that's 10-1 is the opportunity for better. It's not the guarantee for better. Only the voters are the guarantee for better. So you people that are out there, candidates or voters, you got to remember that. But this was all about the allocation of discretionary dollars. Because a city like us all has bills, except
Right.
not right now. Our fixed bills outrun our revenue, and the city just keeps taking more from us. But the bottom line is that's what this is all about, and people have spoken.
Another question?
And so we'll take another question there.
Yeah, you mentioned about approval. Okay, you mentioned about approval by the governor. Which governor, Youngkin or
Youngkin.
Bernard?
It'll be the newly elected governor because the General Assembly doesn't meet, so we can't. Well, I guess it could have a special meeting, but generally speaking, they're not scheduled to come into session until January. So there will be a new governor, new General Assembly, and that's why it's important that we start the work of an independent group doing the boundaries, because we could have that done if we really worked hard.
How do we
Before
get the
that.
independent group?
So I
Like you talked about, I mean, is that at the city council level?
well, the
or
city
at the
council
state
really is in control of that process. They really are.
level? They are?
Well, they get to decide. Right now, that's a legislative body, so they could decide, which I would encourage them to do, is to walk away from having their hand. Last time it was done by whom? Who remembers who did
Rosemary?
the districts for the 731 system that we had?
Judge.
Lewis Jones.
Lewis Jones, and there was one other name,
Rosemary?
Mike Belushi. Those are the 2 council liaison group. They were picked. They
What was
came.
their motivation for doing that, for drawing those lines?
Well, you can guess. My point being
Another
is
question?
that's what. So they really own that from a jurisdictional point of view, but they could be wise, and they should be wise, to say we don't want to have our fingers. But that's something you have to mention. But they really own that. But they also have to be careful because we still, and I want to get into that. We still have the Holloway case, but nothing can be done on that case until there's something to argue about, and you can't do that until you have boundaries.
All right, here.
It seems to me that if you want to cause consternation and panic in a neighborhood, just get an orange rezoning sign and put it up anywhere. People will lose their bloody mind.
Yeah.
Because Virginia is a by right development state. We all know that. What the developers are doing, we castigate city council, we castigate the developers, but I promise you that if there's somebody out there that has some claim that government will fulfill, they're going to make it. It happens every day up here on Virginia Beach Boulevard at Human Services. Your problem is not with city council. Your problem is not with the developers. Your problem is with the Virginia legislature, because they're the ones that set the law that allow these programs to exist. And if Richmond came back and said, no, you can't give taxpayer money to private developers, then it wouldn't happen. This happened all the way back in the 1960s under a Democratic administration. Why aren't we addressing that?
All I know is all those state legislators don't dictate that 6 people vote to do it. People have to consciously say, I want to do it. The law does enable it. I wish it didn't. But the law enables a lot of things. But you can say no, just like a jury can say not guilty. You can say you're not getting it. So
And show me how many politicians say no to a well-moneyed donor. Okay, there's one.
But here's the thing, and I hope you guys have missed this. What John said 10-1 is not some panacea. It's not going to happen overnight. But it gives us the opportunity to get people on council who are going to do the right thing for the people and not for developers.
Another question?
Because these folks in your 10-1 system, they go to your church. They go to your synagogue. They're at your food line. That's how this works. And they're not running for office citywide. That's the power. It's not going to happen overnight. But that's what 10-1 gets you. And then you can get people on council who won't do what you're talking about.
Another question?
You pointed out that we would be submitting this to the judge at some point. Is there some reason, and I'll let the lawyers in the room talk about this, that we couldn't have the judge direct that this is the way that we're going to do it, and then he will accept the results of that and then direct it from there?
Under the current process, the judge doesn't have a role at all. I was just suggesting that was a way to get council out of the loop. What the law is today is the Voting Rights Act of 2021. And once the council does their piece, however they decide to do that, and they have a plan, it then there's one of two paths. There's one where I call it the express path. You kind of like, you've done all this documentation, you send it directly to the Attorney General. Path two is you have all these public hearings, but I think the referendum kind of obviates the need for that. So, and then his job is not to say he approves it, but he has no, I think they call it no objection. Because it means it's complying with all the laws as they know it, and there's nothing that's illegal about it. That's all that thing does. But you don't have a plan until that process has happened. So there is an Attorney General piece. He's the only person other than the General Assembly doing their piece for the charter. But the General Assembly is not involved in approving the boundary issue. That's all within the, and then of course, once the council approves a plan, there's a 30-day grace period before it can be effective to allow anyone who feels that they've been disadvantaged or whatever to file a lawsuit in the court of appropriate jurisdiction. And commensurate with that, they, generally speaking, always ask for an injunction. And generally speaking, you don't get one unless you have a good chance of winning. So that's how that all works. That's why it's important to start, like yesterday, getting all this stuff done so that we find ourselves, this isn't, where there's a will, there's a way. And we saw how quickly the city council, when they wanted to have that referendum, how quickly they acted. I only ask them to act as quickly now, implementing our new election system. And if they do, we can easily get there. This is not a task that's too hard. And delay is just an excuse to preserve the status quo, and the public has consciously rejected that position.
All right, gentlemen, I think that was our last question because it's running late. But before you make some summary remarks, which I hope can be brief, because we are running late, I'd just like, as moderator, to make a suggestion. All right, and my suggestion is as follows. First, let me show you what I mean by extreme gerrymandering. You get a group of, no, I'm not pointing at anyone. You get a group of people here, right? A group of people here, and another group of people here, and they're tied together by a line that goes down the middle of Holland Road or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? We've seen that in the past. I'm sure it still exists in other states and other parts of the state maybe. Anyway, we at the city level could pass a law, and better yet at the level of the Commonwealth, that is this simple. All right, there is a geographic center of any proposed voting district, any, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, let's say. There's the geographic center in the middle of Holland Road. The law would state that when you draw any line across a voting district through the middle of the geographic center of that voting district, it cannot be thinner than the maximum line by an order of magnitude, 1/10. Even that would be enough. So that you would not wind up with voting districts that are so preposterously gerrymandered. You'd have to have a minimum diameter through the geographic center that's at least 1/10 of the maximum diameter. Do you follow what I'm saying?
No.
You don't?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'll draw a picture for you.
I understand. Yeah, but it's going to be here longer to get everybody to understand.
Yeah, okay, but anyway,
I know exactly what you mean.
it's a simple thing.
The issue is not the what. The issue would be how. Because as long, to John's point, as long as you have politicians drawing,
Yeah.
This would eliminate
I know, but
their
it's
influence.
not the what. I understand exactly what you're saying, but to John's point, as long as you have politicians drawing lines, whether it's in Texas or California or even here, you're never going to accomplish that.
Well, okay, I just want to ask you, gentlemen, if you think that it could be done at the city level.
No.
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 I think, well, with waterways, there's just a lot of, but what you really want to do, anyway, my summary comment is, I want to congratulate the voters of Virginia Beach.
Yes.
For doing their homework.
Amen, yes.
For being discerning, and what I just ask them is to keep their foot
Yes.
on the pedal,
Uh-huh.
to get done, and then after we get it, to stay engaged, and to maybe consider being a candidate themselves, or working the campaign, so that we can really have a city council that reflects the values, the priorities, and the civic goodness that this city really has. And that's what I want, a city council that is as good as the people in our community. Thank you
Right.
so much for all of you.
And I would
you.
just, briefly say the same thing. Thank you to the citizens of Virginia Beach. I really do believe that each of you now have an assignment. And the assignment is to go out and tell people about what just happened. To your point, make sure that people understand what we voted for. And now is not the time to be silent. Now is the time to speak up. Now is to make sure that we keep the pressure on at City Council to move this thing forward so we can get this behind us so we can get back to the real issues in our community. So thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
John, can you get me a copy of that press release? I read it. I can't find it right now. We need to have this disseminated everywhere. It's got the arrogance. And I'd like to know who the author
Can't
was.
find it.
No, there's no name. It's just an organizational press release. Which normally
Somebody
don't have
wrote it.
names. I wouldn't read anything, but it just says that's the official, that's their official position.
Do you want to turn off the recording so that these guys can talk to people?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill, announcements and everything else.
Me?
It's on the agenda, Bill.
We are running late, so
We're okay.
Go through the rest of the agenda as quickly as possible. All right.
Okay.
Any announcements? We'll do that first. Thank you, Diana Howard from the Tea Party.
Okay, this Thursday, I believe that's November 13th, we are having our Tea Party meeting, 7 p.m. at the Masonic Lodge, 2849 Princess Anne Road at Virginia Beach. And former Councilman John Moss will be our speaker there. And what's next?
Ranked choice voting. That's the topic.
Oh, don't bring up ranked choice voting.
You're not in favor?
No.
Anyone else have an announcement?
No, we're good.
All right.
I do.
No?
I do.
Steelers are
Robert.
playing.
Robert Dean.
Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, it was actually November 10th, 1775, in Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The United States Marine Corps was formed to battle the pirates that were plaguing the ships at sea. And this 250 years later, we will be celebrating it this coming November 10th. Then on the 11th is Veterans Day. So I hope everybody here and watching here that will in fact appreciate everything that, especially those who gave their lives protecting this country in all the wars and so-called police actions that we've had over these years. And I'm very proud to have served the Corps along with 4 other members of my family, all Marine Corps, and I salute everybody out there, including the members of the United States Navy, like John Fender here, retired Navy commander, and all the others here. Bill Barnes over here. And there's so many folks here, and one way or another you served. Oh, Diana Howard, of course, retired Navy chief, and and Nelson Clark, and everyone else. And Gary also served, and John Moss gave 42 years of his life in the United States Navy, last many years, submarine forces. And so I had to make that announcement, and all the events that are going on around the city on the 10th and the 11th. Please join in and just pay your respects.
The moving wall. The moving wall.
The 10th of November is the Marine Corps birthday. I don't know. I don't know.
The moving wall, the Vietnamese wall.
The Vietnam Wall is here.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's at the convention center.
It's at the convention center. So those
We'll have a
folks-
link to all the events on
Oh, yeah.
our Tea Party newsletter.
Oh, you have it?
It'll go out
It'll go
tomorrow.
out tomorrow? Okay. John Fenter.
Do you know where the Marine Corps birthday celebration in Virginia Beach will be held?
No, for the past several years, it's been down at the this restaurant here at the corner of Edwin Drive and Independence, but they've sold the restaurant. And so Colonel Marshall, who flew Helicopter 1 for the Marine Corps, held it every year. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm sure that it's going to be one of the bases where we'll be having a Marine Corps birthday celebration. I just don't have that information.
Will you be the oldest one there to cut the cake?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mark Feckety, who serves as the corrupt vice mayor of Sandbridge, who takes any contributions he can. But ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Dr. Bill Duke, for moderating this meeting, and all those people who have spoken to talk funny from Long Island, New York. We forgive you.
The
Thank
meeting
you,
is
everybody.
adjourned.
Have a great day. Great weekend.
The meeting is adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Meeting is a journey. Robert, I will be purchasing a brick at the Marine Corps Museum
You are.
for my grandfather.
How much are they?
$210
A brick?
per brick. But
My dad, my brothers.
it's a lot. Well, it's like a discount that's going on right now, so I'm going to take advantage.
So you can only put one name on it then?
Yeah, one name per brick.
Yeah.
But, it'll be, Private, Jacob, Fenter,
Oh, yeah.
1925, 1929, and Banana Wars.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, my dad did 32, and we got 73 years combined service, 4 Purple Hearts, 1 Bronze Star with Valor for Iwo Jima. John, you know Bogdan?
hey, John. Well
Son,
done.
a retired Navy commander, and he's trying to get into the Navy's program. That's how it goes. Oh, jeez, I gotta shut this off.
Oh,
Oh,
come
man.
on. The Navy and